Right. So, we are finally ready to start working with the absenteeism module. If you are a business analyst or aspire to become one, it will be enough to remember that the command you need in this case is from absenteeism module import star. The star symbol stands for import all. As a programmer, though, you may wonder if you will need NumPy, Pandas, and sklearn. Well, you can relax because we have taken care of these packages by importing them with our module so that everything runs smoothly. As proof, please feel free to open the module file and see that everything is in there. This approach helps us to avoid the mistake of forgetting to import any of the required packages when reusing the model in different notebook files. Okay, let's execute the first command. Given that we are importing several different packages, it is taking us a little more time, and that's normal. Ready. We've called the file containing new observations absenteeism new data. It's a CSV. When you open it, you see the data that will be loaded into our model. You can eyeball it and realize that it has been organized in the same way as the raw data set we pre-processed earlier. Please note that we could have skipped this step. However, it is much better to double-check and be sure we are using the right data for our calculations, right? The next two lines of code are the ones that will define the way in which Python will compute the probability values we are essentially interested in. Don't pay too much attention to their syntactical structure. It is better to focus on the meaning of the variable names assigned by the data science team. Absenteeism model is the name of the class that has been created. To proceed, we must create an instance of this class. For simplicity, we will call this instance model. Then, by definition, we are required to insert two arguments. One will be the model file, containing a fine-tuned, finalized version of the logistic regression model. The latter is the traditional statistical technique we've used to obtain prediction values. The second argument refers to the other file, called scalar. Its function is to scale the values from the absenteeism new data, as was done when the machine learning algorithm was trained. In other words, it contains the statistical parameters needed to adjust the magnitude of all numbers we have in this data set. We want all of them to be of a similar magnitude or scale. Great! So, by running this cell, we would have created an instance of the absenteeism model class with arguments model and scalar, both referring to the files in the folder. This instance object is now in the variable called model. At this stage, we can call the methods from the class. What is their purpose? There are two important methods that have been prepared. The first one, load and clean data, helps us load the data, as can be inferred from its name. To apply it, we must type model.load and clean data, and then indicate the new observations, which are stored in the CSV file called absenteeism new data. After we execute this cell, the load and clean data method will pre-process the entire data set we provide. Okay, done. Now, we can finally call the predicted outputs method. Its role is to feed the cleaned data into the model and deliver the output we discussed, the predicted probability that an individual will be absent from work. Is that the case? Yes, we just obtained a table which is identical to the dataset we had at the end of the preprocessing part of this exercise, with two new columns attached to the far right. To be more accurate, our data frame contains the reasons for absence split into 4 classes, values from 1 to 12 corresponding to the month of absence, the transportation expense of every individual, their age, body mass index, a dummy indicating whether or not they have a higher education degree, the number of children or pets they have, two probability values obtained by the new model. The probability column contains float values only. These values represent the probability that a given individual is expected to be absent from work for more than 3 hours, or as we call it, excessively. The other column, called prediction, is like a continuation of the probability column. In it, we see the value of 1 if the probability obtained was 50% or higher, and 0 if it wasn't. To wrap it up, we can say that our goal in this lecture was to explain the necessary programming steps when using the absenteeism module. In reality, especially if you are in the business intelligence department of a company, you won't really need to understand all that. Storing the following 4 lines of code will be more than enough for you. Then, all you have to do is insert the name of the file containing the data about new observations and run the cell. Let's do that. Here we go. Our explanation on how to load and use the absenteeism module ends here. In the next lecture, we will proceed with the next step toward the solution of our exercise. Thank you for watching.